Hi, good day. My name is Rasha Dabash, and I am going to share with you today a bit about my leadership journey, which focused on promoting dialogue, evidence, and bold action at the intersection of climate, gender, and sexual and reproductive health and rights. I am an independent consultant, and I have to say that I'm incredibly grateful for the alignment and timing of this journey, both with my personal as well as sort of professional transition this year. I transitioned to consulting last year after 25 plus years in research and leadership roles at several INGOs. And one reason I did that was to be very intentional and carve out space and time to focus on topics that I'm quite passionate about. And this is one that is very near and dear to my heart. So, um, why climate change, gender, and SRHR? Well, like many of you who live and have worked in the Global South or working in the Global South, we see every day and live the impacts of climate change on the lives and livelihoods of people. We know that climate change is the biggest global health challenge of our time. Um, Evidence has shown that climate change is aggravating and perpetuating pre-existing inequities, including gender inequities and vulnerabilities. And in a way, it's serving as a threat multiplier and putting the health and rights of women and girls at risk. As somebody who has worked for years on sexual and reproductive health and rights, I'm deeply concerned by this and frankly underwhelmed by the state of our integration of gender as well as sexual and reproductive health and rights in our climate solutions. Because the reality is climate impacts are not gender blind. We know that the majority of refugees are women and girls, and that climate shocks have disproportional effects on them. As importantly, I'm deeply concerned that we are facing a major risk of backsliding on many of the gains, even though some modest, in sexual and reproductive health and rights, including we're seeing rates of increased gender-based violence, child marriage, FGM, preeclampsia, where there's rising sea level, preterm births and miscarriage and stillbirths, and of course, as access dissipates and migration increases, unwanted pregnancy and unsafe abortion. So it's quite concerning, and it is really at the forefront of many of our minds as we think about how we protect the gains that we've made and continue to use rights-based approaches in climate solutions. One thing that is also clear is that women and girls are simply not victims of the climate crisis. They are the sources of solutions, and oftentimes gender transformative solutions, or at the very least, gender responsive solutions, and that it is important that they be included in leadership. Yet, in reality, when we look at global climate mitigation and adaptation plans, both at the national level as well as global, we see that they inadequately address all those needs and very little focus on sexual and reproductive health and rights as it continues to backslide. So in my capacity as somebody who is a researcher and has dedicated many years of my life to using evidence to change landscapes, to change discourse around many maternal health and sexual and reproductive health issues. I felt that what I could contribute in this space is to try to figure out how we engage, starting with a focus on better evidence and deeper reflection to drive more gendered solutions that increase the discussions around climate strategies, including climate resiliency in the health space, particularly SRHR, as well as bridge the need for SRHR and gender transformative lenses and approaches within the very vast and complex space of those in working on climate change and climate solutions. I am also an associate editor for Frontiers, which is one of the largest online open access journals. Mostly I sit in the division, the section of women and global health. And so as my leadership project, I have dedicated a lot of time this year to sort of looking at what's existing in the literature and really realizing that we have very poor evidence. There's lack of systematic data around gender and an understanding of even how our current solutions and proposed solutions address gender, whether they are helpful or not for women and girls. And simply documenting so much of what is happening on the ground, because there is a lot of work that's happening that may not fall under the sort of traditional research or traditional data collection mechanisms, but it is important that it's shared. And so I have spent the years sort of listening and engaging and asking questions. I've assembled a diverse team of global researchers, as well as an editorial team. We've engaged with the SRHR and Climate Justice Coalition and have seen an immense amount of interest in thinking about how we document more research in this area. And we've put forward a special issue, which is hopefully coming soon, that will be on climate, gender, and SRHR, specifically looking at intersectional approaches and evidence, so how we transform policy research and programs. And our hope is that many of these will be published prior to COP29. In fact, one of the major outcomes of COP28 was there was a call specifically by UN Women and a special group that was convened for more data, more gender disaggregated data. So we hope that some of these papers will respond to that call. In addition, I hope that this diverse group that has been assembled we will work on authoring a commentary that will issue a state of reflection on the available evidence, talk about the major gaps that we're facing, and also put out some future consideration for those who are in this space or interested in joining this space. So if you are working in this area or know someone who should submit something to this, please be on the lookout for the call for papers that will be coming out shortly, and I will be sure to let you know. And then finally, I will say that we're also going to use the opportunity of the special issue to convene discussions and dialogue, including 2 webinars that will help leverage some of the interesting things that are emerging in terms of both available data and lack of data. And then finally, I will just end by saying that I'm incredibly energized and excited to be working in this space because I really firmly believe that evidence is important, not for the sake of evidence, but for what it could do to really shift our understanding and the narrative. And it's quite important that we begin to shift the narrative so that the face of climate change shifts. Many people associate climate change with polar bears on ice cap, but in fact, it's women and girls that are the face of climate change and its consequences, and they are also the sources of real climate solutions. So I'm very excited to continue this journey and to hopefully contribute in my small way to this space. Thank you very much.